Hello and welcome to Fantasy Premier League, the D Unit's journey. Today we are back for Game Week 13 differentials to boost your Game Week rank and hopefully to improve your rank overall. Last week, I actually was pretty happy. I included a lot of differentials that are going to be in my video today on my wildcard in Game Week 12. Now, I did end up, unfortunately, Isaac and Hall from Newcastle disappointed against West Ham overnight, which was highly frustrating for my team. And my rank, it meant that I only went up to 100 and... I'm just going to quickly double check what my rank went up to. It went to 116,000. So not the worst in the world, but it could have been better. So 116,052 is where I currently sit after game week 12. So almost made it back into the 100,000, and I would have if I'd had João Pedro's points on my field. But alas, sometimes you get these calls wrong, and that was particularly one of them this game week. Now, without further ado, let's hop into the differentials because I tell you what, they're going to be coming thick and fast this game week. So, to start off with, I'm not going to spend too much time on the goalkeepers this week. However, there are a couple that we do need to be aware of that have been relatively good. Now, a few weeks ago, about 5-6 weeks ago, I actually said that Jordan Pickford, this man here, would be a great differential in goal. And let's be honest, I said that after the Newcastle game, which is when I recommended him, that he would keep at least 3 clean sheets in the next 5 games. And thankfully, with Brentford, he did. I mean, he's been doing super well. He's actually racked up 17, 19, 21, 27 points in the last 5 weeks, which is, I think, almost number 1 for goalkeepers. So, look, he's done everyone a bit of service. The fixtures for Everton coming up, you can't recommend, but you probably do hold him until the end of the Wolves game in game week 14. I think you take the risk against Man United. I can't be 100% sure how they're going to go. Moving on from that. Now, Nana, he's in great form. And, look, we haven't been conceding too many XG chances, but obviously there was 1.59 on the weekend and he made some massive saves. Now, I'm still recommending him though because he's 9.3% ownership, and I think after the Arsenal and Man City games, I think United are going to play better than what you think. I don't think we're going to score lots of goals, but I don't think we're going to concede that many either. So for that reason, he does make the list as the goalkeeper. Obviously, Nick Pope, he was disappointing against West Ham, so he doesn't make the cut this week. Now, going down here, Kelleher, who I recommended last week, he did keep a penalty saver, even though Liverpool were pretty bang average. Alisson Becker's still not fitted there as well, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, Robert Sanchez, he again, the Chelsea run is delicious and you do need to be aware of it. And I think that they will keep clean sheets, but I don't think if you're making a goalkeeper change or going to be wildcarding in game week 13, he's not a player you're bringing in this week because they will probably concede against Aston Villa, I would think, at home. But from then on, you would think that he's likely to keep some clean sheets starting with the Southampton away fixture. But Southampton seem to be scoring against the good teams and then just rolling over against the rubbish ones. Now, the best keeper this week actually is the one that is my team that I bought in on wildcard. Now, I wasn't expecting much against Bournemouth, and he almost did keep the clean sheet. And the underlying data is, it's not the best in the world, but for most goalkeepers, it's not. So there's not really too much you can do about that. But look, he's nailed on. He's going to be starting every week. They've got Southampton at the home this week, and he would make for a great double up in the Brighton defences, which is what I've currently got. You would think that Southampton home, Fulham away, Leicester away, Crystal Palace at home, West Ham away, and Brentford at home before they play Aston Villa in 19 and Arsenal in 20. He's likely to keep at least 3 clean sheets in that, you would think. And that's going to be banking points. So, for a differential and for a bloke that's only owned by such a small minority of the competition, he is a great differential, and I think that he's going to be quality moving forward. Now, on to the defenders this week. So, we have Kirkes. He still makes the list. Now, he was disappointing in game week 12. He conceded 2 goals. Again, he had an expected goal involvement, though, of 0.24, so, he is playing high up the pitch. And the way Wolves defend, Wolves do score goals, but they scored most of their goals against Fulham when they had already made their 5 substitutions and they played the last 10 minutes with 10 men, and Wolves capitalised with 2 goals in that last 10 minutes. So I don't think that's an accurate read on how good Wolves are going to be moving forward and how many goals they're going to score. I just think that they made the most of a good situation, really. but I expect them to do all right. Kirkes, I don't think you keep him for the clean sheet this week, but Wolves definitely concede goals. So, Kirkes has got some good expected goal numbers in him in terms of his involvement. So he's definitely someone I would recommend. Again, another great differential, only owned by 1.6% of the competition. Van Heck is the Brighton defender I went with, but you can throw a blanket over all the Brighton defenders that are currently playing. So at the moment, Van Heck's in there, and the other one that I really liked and weighed up was Veltman. Now, Veltman has had more expected goal involvement than Van Heck. Dunk, if he's fit and available, will also come into this category. Pretty much every player that is a Brighton player that's a defender should be on your watch list for differentials for this run of fixtures. I mean, it doesn't look good when you look at these numbers. Like, he's got 1 point in the last 5 weeks, which is not fabulous, but I do believe that Brighton are going to defend better than what these stats are telling me. And I think that this run of fixtures, like, just look at them. I just can't see them conceding many goals in these games. So my line of thinking is he's going to keep clean sheets. And that's the reason why he's in at 4.5. You want someone that's going to keep clean sheets. All right. So for me, he's definitely a great differential. 0.7% ownership. I'm one of the very few people that does own him. And hopefully he banks me 6 points this week. But look, all the Brighton defenders are in there. I'm throwing a blanket ban over all of them because of the fact that I think they're going to keep clean sheets. And they've got Southampton this week. I really can't see how Southampton score against Brighton away from home. That's just my personal opinion. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think that Brighton defenders are also good there. Now, Colwell also makes this thing. He's also in my team. 3.1% ownership. Now, I wouldn't really be bringing him in for this week at Aston Villa at home, and he is quite a boring pick. He's just really there in the hope that they do start keeping some clean sheets because his expected goal involvement per 90 is 0.07. So I'm not expecting him to get goals or assists, but I think that he can keep a clean sheet, particularly with that run of fixtures, as I said there, over the next few weeks. He's got Southampton away, and then after the Spurs game, it really is a beautiful run for Chelsea. And you would expect the underlying data to improve, and they'd probably keep you some clean sheets. Again, a really bargain basement pick, 4.5. There's not much that can go wrong. Now, Lewis Hall is also in this list. Now, he's still under 6.5% ownership. And again, the Crystal Palace away game, I don't mind. Eze's going to be back, so it might be slightly more tricky, but I just think that the data is there for Newcastle. And I think that, he is a bit of, everyone says he's a minute's risk. Well, he doesn't look it. I mean, other than game week 5, when was the last time he didn't pretty much play 90 minutes? I think he's pretty nailed on. And his goal involvement at 0.18 is pretty good for defenders. And he's also quite highly rated in the bonus point system. As you look there on the right-hand side, he's quite often got over 20 or like over 15 in that run of games that he's been in this season. So I really like Lewis Hall as well. And I think he's a great pick moving forward. Now, the one player that I do want to talk about that isn't really bargain basement, and that is Jurrien Timber. Now, Arsenal obviously are on this amazing run. And as you can see here, it does look beautiful. And as soon as we said it would change in game week 12, I actually thought that they'd keep a clean sheet against Forest, and they did it pretty easily, I think. In the end, they only conceded 0.27 expected goals against Forest. So Martin Odegaard was back, the Arsenal team looked back, and I wouldn't be surprised if his ownership of 1.9% definitely improves. I mean, he's got an expected goal involvement of 0.09 per 90 minutes, so you just really buying him because he's a cheaper. He's going to save you 0.5 million at the minimum on a Saliba and a 0.6, potentially by the time this video goes out, 0.7 on a Gabriel. And he's just a good route into the Arsenal defence. He's slightly cheaper and he's nailed on with the fact that Ben White's out for a few months and that. I think that Jurrien Timber's definitely someone that you should be looking at. And as long as he stays fit, I don't think he's leaving the team. And you really do want some sort of coverage. I don't have any Arsenal players other than Saka in my team. And I will admit that potentially next week, I will look to move either Mbeumo or Fernandes on in a 2-transfer sort of swap in order to get in an Arsenal defender, just to make sure I'm covered. But I might not do it next week because of the fact they've got Man United at home. So I might just make one transfer and then bring him in for game week 15. I feel like United will probably score in game week 14. So those are the defenders. Now, moving on to the midfielders. The midfielders gets slightly more complicated. So this week in the midfielders, I'm not going to be recommending any of the people I have because they're all highly owned. Now, James Maddison. Now, Spurs assets are really hard to recommend. And look, He's played, look at the minutes played in game week 10 and 11. It's hard to recommend someone that has pretty much, the only reason why he's back in the team is because Bentancur's got himself suspended for 7 games. Now, I do find it hard to believe that he has any chance of being dropped when he's played 88 minutes and scored 2 goals against the reigning champions. I think it's safe to say that James Maddison's probably going to enjoy a few games in the team. Will he continue to do that kind of performance against Fulham and Bournemouth? Now, potentially yes, potentially no, but his expected goal involvement per 90 this season is 0.8. So when he's on the field, he's highly likely going close to 1 goal involvement per game. So I think that's hard to ignore. The only problem is that he is a minutes risk and obviously got taken out for the last 4 games prior to the Man City game, which does concern me, which is why I can't really recommend him. But from a differential point of perspective, he is amazing and definitely someone that you should definitely be looking at. But I just can't recommend Spurs assets after the Ipswich game. So they probably lose to Fulham at home, 1-0 or something like that. But if you want to go there, he is now the 5th rated midfielder for the season. So that's also something to keep in mind. Now, the 7th one is someone you should be aware of. Now, they've got Arsenal this game week, and that is a difficult fixture. But for consistency, Jarrod Bowen has been pretty damn good. In a team that has struggled for the majority of this season, Jarrod Bowen has definitely been a shining light as their captain. And I really like the run of fixtures coming up from game week 14 through to game week 19. I think Jarrod Bowen could potentially get you, on average, 8 points per game over the next 5 weeks after the Arsenal game. He might even score against Arsenal with some luck to blank out all those clean sheets that the Arsenal defenders are getting. I'm not sure. But Jarrod Bowen's definitely someone we should be aware of. 5.9% ownership. He is pretty damn juicy, and I think something that people should really be paying attention of moving forward. Now, we'll go down the list a little bit more. Just an FYI, I pointed out Iwobi last week, and guess what? Iwobi scored. So if you were smart last week, 2.5% ownership. Again, I can't recommend him this week because the Fulham run is pretty hard the next 4 weeks. But after that, he's definitely an option again and someone you should keep an eye on. He's just been great value, and his XG per 90 has been fantastic. Moving down, Barnes and Gordon. I feel like Gordon, I watched him against the West Ham game and I wasn't overly convinced with the way he was. He does make this list because I think he is a good differential when you're looking to move on from Mbeumo and potentially Fernandes. He is slightly cheaper as well, which means he does free up some money to move around the rest of your squad. The next one I want to talk about, though, is Matoma. So he literally, when he's fit, he literally plays 90 minutes every week. And, you know, he's raising up the list. He's up to 47 points for the season now. He's fresh off the back of scoring a goal against Bournemouth and getting 2 bonus points. And his expected goal involvement at 0.45 isn't setting the world on fire. He's a bit of a generic, boring pick. But I think, again, as I said, the Brighton run from here on in just looks absolutely fantastic. And I think that he's someone that is slightly cheaper. If you wanted to drop an Mbeumo to him, that's going to get you 1.1 million, which and then in turn could mean you could upgrade a defender to maybe one of the 6 million ones. Or in my case, he could become a Jurian Timber, one of my 4.5s. So again, I don't mind it. I think he's a good pick. Unfortunately, I'm blocked from it because I've already got 3 Brighton players. But he's definitely someone that you should be aware of, and he's got good stats. And I think the run of fixtures for him is unbelievably good. Now, a couple of rogue players I want to put out here that aren't on the list, as you can see there. Now, the first one is one Marcus Rashford. Now, I'm not saying jump on him at all, but I am saying he is a watch. He is a watch because if he starts up front in the Europa League on Thursday night, and then he starts up front again in Everton, and he scores goals, he's going to get a run in the team, I reckon, as the number 9, and that means he's going to be scoring goals. As we saw, he obviously scored in the first 81 seconds under Ruben Amorim. He didn't really do a hell of a lot else other than that. But if we have a look at his stats, like his expected goal involvement was only 0.29, and he got the 1 goal, and we got 1 bonus point. So look, I actually think he's someone you need to be aware of. If Manchester United continue to play Marcus Rashford up top, he's going to become a very good differential. I think he can potentially rediscover some of that form, that goal-scoring form, and they'll make him a real valuable option. So, look, I think you should be aware of him. I wouldn't jump on yet. I think you need to be confident he's going to be starting in the team every week. But one player from Manchester United can definitely jump on board because I saw enough from him to make me think that he is going to be a great budget enabler. Now, I think I did forecast this last week, but he's making this, and Amad Diallo has arrived. I'm telling you, the start of the season, I was a little bit concerned about his role under Eric Ten Hag, whether he was going to have the faith. But when he started at right wing back, I was like, oh, is he going to have the attacking returns? He got a beautiful assist, and he was the most likely chance of us winning the game in the 90th minute when he went past on an amazing run, jinked past two players, and then sort of crossed it into the box. Well, he actually had a shot, sorry, more to the point. He just didn't quite score. He got 3 bonus points, so he was doing well. So there's a lot to like there, and I think he's a nailed-on starter in the team moving forward at the right wing-back spot. Or once everyone's fit, he might actually become one of the 2 number 10s. But he's 100% nailed on to continue starting, and at 4.9 million, he's definitely someone that's in my line of thinking moving forward as potentially an enabler in midfield in order to spread some of my midfield money around in the defence moving forward in future game weeks. He's just brilliant. And the last one in the midfield this week is one Martin Odegaard from Arsenal. Now, he came back into the team, obviously against Chelsea. He got an assist against Nottingham Forest, and he just looked good. He was on 29 bonus points, so he just missed out on a bonus point as well. His expected goal involvement of 0.41 was fantastic. He literally was running the show. I know he only played 81 minutes, but he was fantastic, and I think that he's an option that you could go to from a Fernandes or a Mbeumo moving forward. I just think that he's going to be really good. This is Arsenal run of fixtures. If he stays fit and he's playing, I can see multiple returns in this run of fixtures. He is, again, doesn't quite have the ceiling of a Saka, I don't think, but he essentially makes Saka a lot better. So when Martin Odegaard's in the team, I think you really need to be aware of it. And probably he's someone that you should have in the back of your mind. 4.4% ownership. I do expect that to rise over the coming weeks. Now, lastly, on to the forwards. Now, it's hard to find a differential in the forwards at the moment. Haaland's obviously continuing to drop in price, and he's down to 57.1% ownership, so almost down to 1 and 2, and he is likely to drop to 15 mil. So he's becoming a bit more of a differential moving forward, but it definitely doesn't make this video with the form that he's currently in now. Mateus Cunha's been amazing. He's already got over 300,000 transfers in this week. He's now up to 16.1% ownership. And look, I actually ditched him on wildcard, as you can see in my team, for Nicholas Jackson. Now, I'm not disappointed with that move because I think long term, as I said, this Fulham game is a little bit skewed because a lot of his points came when Fulham were already down to 10 men because they'd made they'd made all their subs and then they got an injury. So I don't think he's likely to continue scoring at the pace that we've seen, but there's nothing to say that he won't. Particularly in the next 5 weeks, I think Bournemouth at home, Everton away, West Ham away, Ipswich at home, and Leicester away. Now, the only caveat is that 3 of those games are away from home, and I think Bournemouth are going to be a lot better to play than Fulham were on the weekend. So, look, the caveat is I don't think he's going to continue getting a goal and an assist or 2 goals every game, but I could definitely see him scoring in each of the next 5 games. But again, 6.9 million is what he's going to cost you, 16.1% ownership. He is hard not to recommend at this particular point. Now, Welbeck wasn't the pick. It was definitely João Pedro. João Pedro at 5.4. He's already risen to 5.6 now. He's owned by 12.3% of the comp. He is in my team because of the fact that, as I said, Brighton have that amazing run of fixtures, and he's definitely, as long as he's getting some sort of minutes, you do expect some sort of a benching in there at some point, but he's going to be dominant moving forward. He's going to make you a lot of points and probably make you a lot of money. It's just going to be a matter of whether he can stay fit, because that seems to have been the issue with him previously. But I really like that run of fixtures. And look, his expected goal involvement was 0.88 on the weekend. He's now up to 0.72 expected goal involvement per 90 minutes. That's pretty damn good for what you're paying for him. There's not much that can go wrong. Now, Jackson is up to 19.4% ownership. He's almost 1 and 5. I really liked him. That's why I bought him in. And it also makes it easier to get backed up to Erling Haaland if I do need. Now, he's on 0.65 expected goal involvement per 90, which is fantastic considering he's not on penalties. Whereas Isak, on the other hand, was disappointing against West Ham. I think that was a bit of an aberration. He did have 0.74 expected goal involvement. He just couldn't finish on the night, which was frustrating for me. And he's obviously on 0.61 goal involvement. So, you know, there's not much between them. But I just like the Newcastle run. Now, I think this week's good, but you really want them from game week 15 onwards. I think they're going to be scoring goals. And I know Callum Wilson's back, but that doesn't really seem to impact on Isak's minutes. So hopefully that continues. They're not in Europe, so there's no real reason to be resting players anyway. So I don't expect that to happen moving forward. Now, the last couple, Strand Larson, obviously, he has been going all right. He got an assist this week. Again, he's bargain basement, 5.6 mil. His stats are nowhere near as good as Cunha's. But again, that next run of fixtures for 5, he's going to get your points. He's a much better pick than Raul Jimenez. If that's all you can afford and you've already got João Pedro, then you definitely move Raul Jimenez to Stratton Larson 100%. It's definitely a move I would 100% tick off. If Van Linson was disappointing for Bournemouth, but again, it's hard not to recommend him because he does have such a nice run of fixtures. He is likely to score against Wolves. I would think. He's been really good, and the minutes are improving. Now, he's played 2 back-to-back 90 minutes in a row. Again, he missed out because he had 0.5 to expected goal involvements. Just didn't score this game week. The last person I want to finish on is Rasmus Højlund. Now, Rasmus Højlund, this is another wait and see. You're not jumping on now. Don't jump on now. But if Marcus Rashford is not the preferred number 9 and Rasmus Højlund becomes the preferred number 9 and he develops some sort of ability to find space to get the ball, his stats are going to improve and he is going to become a very good differential. But unfortunately at the moment, you just can't go there. You have to see how it develops under Ruben Amorim and Manchester United, how they look. But if Marcus Rashford doesn't hit the ground running, then Rasmus Højlund is definitely someone you should keep your eye on. Particularly moving forward. Man United will eventually start scoring goals, and it's just going to be a matter of who is in that number 9 position. It's either going to be Rasmus Højlund or Marcus Rashford, and I think either of them will become a good differential, but it's not a play this week. It's for watching this week and potentially watching after Arsenal and then moving in either game week 15, 16 or potentially 17 after they've already played City away as well. That would be my recommendation there. And I think that pretty much brings us to the end of this differential video. There's no one there that I'm... Oh, actually, sorry, my bad. I almost missed him because he's risen up so high on the charts. Liam Delap, he was so unlucky. He had an expected goal involvement of 1 on the weekend and didn't score. Anana denied him beautifully, like absolutely beautifully. But Ipswich's run, with George Hurst out injured, he's 100% locked to be playing in the next 4 weeks. And the next 4 weeks, I think Liam Delap can probably average about a goal a game in the next 4 weeks against those kind of weaker teams. So look, he probably won't score on all of them. But again, at 5.6 million, he does have a very nice run of fixtures. And for Ipswich, they can't really defend, but they're fantastic moving forward. And it's the same with Leif Davis. The only reason why Leif Davis, I didn't go into too much detail here, is because of the fact that Ipswich concede goals, and I think they will concede goals in each of the games there. He did make the list on the graphic to the right, but again, he does create. He's the most attacking defender in the league as well, and I think Liam Delap will probably profit from that over the next 4 weeks. So that's my last differential for the week. Make sure you like the video and please subscribe if you're new. Help me out, help me grow, and if you've enjoyed it and you've watched it all right to the end, then that's definitely something that you need to do. Thanks for joining me. Good luck. I'll be back tomorrow with a wildcard draft for Game Week 13. I'll give you a hint. It's very similar to the draft I did in Game Week 12. That's been the D Unit.